Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on the show. We'll talk about Garrett Mitchell and an exciting Brewers win over the Colorado Rockies in spring training. But we got lots to get to with the spring breakout rosters. As promised, as we talked about in yesterday's show, the spring breakout rosters have dropped, and my goodness, the Brewers have a loaded group. It is absolutely incredible. The Brewers are actually going to be playing two of these spring breakout games where it's showcasing all of the top prospects for each of these organizations. Brewers are going to have games on the 20th and the 22nd. And so I'm very excited for this because I think even MLB knows the Brewers have arguably the best farm system in all of baseball. So why not have all these prospects play together twice? Why not do that? Next year it's going to tournament style, which I'm very excited about. But still, for this year, 2 games for the spring breakout rosters for this group. Very excited for it. All right, let's get into it because the top of this group is absolutely loaded. As you would probably expect, 5 of the Brewers' top 6 prospects on MLB Pipeline and on my list as well over at Brew Crew Ball. 5 of the top 6 have been named to the roster here for the spring breakout. Jesus Made is there, Luis Pena, Cooper Pratt, Jet Williams, and Andrew Fisher is on the list as well. So that's a lot of infielders. I know that's probably what you're thinking. That's a lot of infielders to have. That's 5 of them right there. 4 of them are shortstops. How in the world are you going to get them all to play? They will find a way. And that is also where having 2 games can come in handy as well. But you get the star power there. You get your first round pick last year in Fisher. You got your trade acquisition in Jet Williams, first round pick. You got Cooper Pratt, top 100 prospect, along with Jet Williams. Jesus Made, who is a top 5 consensus prospect in all of baseball. Luis Pena, who's been there along with them, signed in that same international class. This is just such an exciting group of talent here in the infield. I mean, it is absolutely stacked what the Brewers have on the dirt, and being able to have this kind of star power in this game, lining them up. Imagine putting a lineup together and you have all 5 of those guys to put in a row. Just going to be an absolute nightmare for the opposing pitchers that the Brewers are going to be facing in these games. So, love to see that because this whole thing really is about getting your top prospect talent to play in these games, to showcase the best that these organizations are going to have to offer, to showcase the best of this next generation of baseball players. So having the Jesus Mades, having the Luis Penas, the Cooper Pratts of the world is incredibly important to the success of this kind of event. And we've seen it succeed, quite a bit. It's only a couple of years old. It hasn't been around very long, but with all the attention that is now on prospects, MLB has taken that and is trying to build something off of that interest. And that's what they've got here, and it's only going to continue to build and grow. And having the prospects like Jesus Made, like Andrew Fisher in these games is certainly going to raise that level and just make it that much more fun for fans to watch and engage in. So, very excited for that, for this whole group. It is an absolutely stacked group on the pitching side. So the only kind of top one there in the top 6 that did not end up making the list is Brandon Sproat. And that's just because Brandon Sproat is kind of competing a little too much for a major league job, and the Brewers kind of don't want to. They're kind of focused on his timeline and building him up for the 40-man roster for the regular season. They're not as worried about a showcase game like this. They've already got him. He's in a very good position to win a rotation spot. Brandon Sproat's not going to be a part of this showcase event. Neither is Logan Henderson either. He is not in the player pool here for the Brewers. Again, not really unexpected. He's got some MLB experience under his belt, just like Sproat does. And for him, just too much of a legit candidate for a rotation spot for the Brewers to just kind of throw an extra game there. There's no point in making him available. The Brewers have plenty of other pitchers they can throw in these games to showcase them for this event. So your top pitching prospect in this list, in this player pool, is Bishop Letson, which is not surprising at all either. Bishop Letson, number 9 prospect according to MLB Pipeline for the Brewers. And for me, I had Letson coming in at 8. I had him a little bit higher, but he's a little bit further away than some of these other guys. So last year he spent it in high A and then got a start at the end of the year in double A, but he's not competing for a spot on the big league roster right now. Missed a bunch of time with some shoulder issues last year, but a very, very exciting young arm for the Brewers, and he could be a top 3 Brewers prospect by the end of the season. He could very easily find himself in the top 100 overall by the time this season is done. So Bishop Letson, very, very exciting pitching prospect to have in here. Also, you got J.D. Thompson, early draft pick last year as well. Ethan Dorchis, Bryce Message, 2 very exciting high school prep arms that they have taken in the draft in the past couple of years. Also on this list, Dorchis really rising up the ranks lately, and then also Coleman Crow, who is in big league camp. He is on the 40-man roster and competing for a spot, sort of, because he is in big league camp. But Coleman Crow, who threw a couple of innings, threw 3 innings here on Thursday against Colorado Rockies, he is also on this list. So I think that might also tell you a little bit about where Coleman Crow currently stands in the rotation mix, which, again, isn't really surprising that he's kind of on the outside looking in for the ones competing for the rotation spot, but that doesn't mean that Crow can't find himself getting called up to Milwaukee at some point this season. I'm quite sure he will. But those are some of the top guys. Also, Jefferson Caro's in there, Marco Dingus for the catchers on this list. And I mean, the infield just stacked with more guys. I mean, you got Luke Adams in there, Blake Burke, Brady Ebel, tons of guys, tons of talent in here. Brock Woken as well. Josh Adams-Shesky is on this list of players. So incredibly exciting talent up and down this roster. I mean, the outfield, Josh Adams-Shesky, Luis Lara topping that list, Braylon Payne in there as well, your 2024 first rounder. So you've got some real big time names in this group that is very, very exciting. So there are the ones that have the names, the name value, the name recognition, but there are others as well, the sleepers, in my opinion, that we really should be watching because they also can be someone who can either help out the Brewers pretty quickly here that no one's really talking about, or further down the road, but people still really aren't talking about them as much. And I think they're sleepers in a sense. And one of them for me, I just mentioned him, Blake Burke feels like really kind of a sleep. A lot of people seem to be sleeping on this dude. With the numbers that he put up last season, hitting for average and hitting for power across high A and double A. I mean, for him, he was expected to be a big power bat, yes, but for him to hit for average the way that he did, I mean, that was impressive. He had 292 on the season. So Blake Burke, I have him at number 12 on my rankings. I thought about putting him higher on the list. I will say I've really thought a lot about putting him higher on my list. MLB Pipeline has Blake Burke at 18. So I think Blake Burke is absolutely a sleeper in this Brewers system. That if he puts up another season of what he did last year, then he is going to jump up these prospect rankings. He should. I don't know why no one's paying attention to him. It is incredible, in my opinion. Also, another couple of sleepers here. I want to look to the outfield. These are young guys, a little bit further away, but they do have plenty of upside. Jose Anderson and Handelfry Encarnacion. Jose Anderson, I believe, was in the prospect breakout last year, and now that he's a year older, got a little bit more, he's got some full season experience under his belt. Jose Anderson maybe could make an impact here in this game. Handelfry Encarnacion, another guy who's been an international signing, has now come stateside and gotten a little taste of full season minor league action down there in Low A, Carolina, now Low A Wilson. So Handelfry Encarnacion and Jose Anderson are two guys that I think fans should keep an eye on. They're likely going to be playing in the later half of these games, probably innings 5 through 9 for these, but still those two do have quite a bit of upside to keep an eye on as well. And then on the pitching side, a couple of sleepers for me. I'm still riding the Tate Keener train. I think Tate Keener, he's unranked on MLB Pipeline, but I really like what he's been able to bring. Left-hander, put up really good numbers as a starter last year in Double-A Biloxi. Likely going to be in Triple-A Nashville this season, and I think he can absolutely. I think he can pitch. I mean, I don't know if he's going to end up in the rotation for the Milwaukee Brewers just because of the sheer amount of numbers that they have for that group, but I love Tate Keener as a prospect. I think he really does get slept on. There needs to be more looks on him. Also, Brian Fitzpatrick, left-handed reliever type guy, but big, tall, and I think that he's going to be able to showcase some stuff and put himself perhaps on the radar here for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he could be a left-handed bullpen arm for the Crew in the relatively near future. I mean, he's basically ready for that kind of opportunity. Just needs to be able to get it as well. Also, Wandy Torres. I'm going with basically all lefties here for my sleepers, but Wandy Torres, big dude, showcased some really nasty stuff earlier in Cactus League action here. So for him to be able to get this kind of opportunity in the spring breakout, that's very exciting for him. I think if he gets himself an inning, he's going to impress some people. He's going to impress some scouts with the stuff that he has and maybe draw some attention for himself and boost up the rankings a little bit. So those are my sleepers for this spring breakout. I'm very excited for this roster that the Brewers have. It is one of the most talented in the entire league, just because Brewers have one of the best farm systems in the entire league. So this is going to be very, very fun to watch. March 20th and 22nd are going to be the days that the Brewers have their spring breakout games. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as that goes along. All right, now I want to get to the actual Cactus League game that we saw. Garrett Mitchell. I am so excited for what Garrett Mitchell can be this season. With him, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that he remains fully healthy this season, we could be seeing a really, really damn good player. Garrett Mitchell, first pitch of the game against the Rockies, just absolutely turns on it. 111 miles an hour, out 462 feet. 462! Garrett Mitchell's got some unreal pop. When he's able to get bat to ball like that. He's also showcasing some much better pitch selection, not chasing as much outside of the zone, which has been a problem for him. So that increased ability to pick up pitches and to make the right swing decisions, that is a big, big step for him development-wise. So if he's able to continue to do that as spring goes along and going into the regular season, and he's finding his power a little bit, man, Garrett Mitchell can be something special. Not only did he have the homer in his first at-bat, he then came up later in the fifth inning and with the bases loaded and just took a pitch on the outside corner to the opposite field, dumped it in the corner for a bases-clearing 3-run double. So Garrett Mitchell, he is on fire. He had 4 RBIs against the Rockies, helped lead the Brewers to a win, and really, I'm so excited for what Garrett Mitchell can be this season. You just need him to stay healthy. If he can do that, if he can stay healthy through this season, he can bring so much offense and even defense too. I mean, he is absolutely a wizard out there defensively as well in center field. He can bring so much to this team if he can stay healthy and be out there. We haven't seen it for a full season yet. The longest stretch we saw was 3 months in 2024, and he was really good in that stretch. So if we can get him for a full season, I'm very excited for what we're going to be able to see out of Garrett Mitchell this coming season. So that's really the big takeaway from the game here against the Rockies. It's getting the offense going. Jake Bauers had a homer as well. Sal Frelick came through with a couple of knocks. So Brock Wilken, big base hit. Cooper Pratt as well. Off of Michael Lorenzen, who's a veteran big league pitcher. So those are good signs for the 2 Brewers prospects as well. And it's spring training continuing to plod along. We got the World Baseball Classic also getting started in full swing here today. So that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. This morning, coming up at 11 o'clock, Venezuela is going to be playing. So that's going to be your Jackson Churio, your William Contreras, Joey Ortiz is going to be playing for Team Mexico coming up at noon. So that game is going to be on FS1. And then tonight, 7 o'clock tonight, Team USA with Bryce Terang is going to be on Fox. They're taking on Brazil. So full swing here for the World Baseball Classic. It's finally getting going. Very excited for that. And also, if you're wondering about Andrew Fisher and Team Italy, obviously Andrew Fisher is over there with them. And for the spring breakout, the championship game, the final for the World Baseball Classic is the 17th. So the whole tournament here is about a week and a half. But yeah, it is. So he'll be back in time for the spring breakout games. Because I know when I first saw that Fisher made the roster, I'm like, wait a minute, is the World Baseball Classic still going on at that time? But either way, he'll be ready to go for that. But tonight, Bryce Terang, Team USA, taking on Brazil on Fox. Incredibly excited for these games. And it is just going to be so much fun. We'll be talking about it for sure on Monday as well as the World Baseball Classic goes along. So be sure to subscribe to Brewers Daily. Get notified every single time a new episode drops. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you again on Monday for another episode of Brewers Daily.